everything else.
My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl, and Joy and I are two very old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else.
Giddy up! Hey, welcome back to another podcast. Just a quick reminder that this is not for kids. And so remember, little ears should not be listening to this. But the good news is it is for adults.
Some adults.
Some adults, right. If you think like a child, you should probably turn this off. Anyway, hey, Cheryl.
Yes.
Do you want to head into your highs and lows? Are you high or are you low?
I'm ho.
Oh God. That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, we'll save that for another day. So my low is the Boatster, also known as Bodie, has an ear infection. Yay! Ooh, yay! No, yay! So we caught it early, which was very good on us. So Kevin had noticed his ear looked red. I'm sorry, his ears are pink, and then I bathed him the day before yesterday or something, a couple days ago.
Did he get shampoo in his ear or something?
Well, when I went to wipe his ears with the cotton balls, there was gunk in his right ear. So anyway, we took him and they do this test, which I don't remember what the name is, but it can, it detects if there's an infection, and there is. And the vet came in and she explained it's a rod and not a circular one. I don't know what the circular one is called, but I know it's a circular one. And she said the rods are harder to get rid of, but we caught it early. So he has to have an ear wash cleanser thing every other day, once a day. And then twice a day is this little ointment liquidy thing. But it takes two of us because he's not going to just stand there and let me do it. And so, yeah, that's really fun. But she said we caught it early. So we go back in 2 weeks. And he wasn't scratching or shaking his head.
Or howling when you would sing.
Yeah, well, his ears all clogged up, probably couldn't hear me. But yeah, so it's not that bad. It's just that I have two other dogs, as we all know, named Callie and Jet, and they have their own medications. And so if I had, and I don't have a great memory, my sister can attest to this, but I keep the medicines all straight in my head, the dosages, the time, what they're taking, all three of them. And I'm telling you, I'm not making light of this, but if you have any memory problem or Alzheimer's or something like that, that's why seniors go into assisted living, because some of these places you have different care packages, and one of them is, to have your medications like administered to you, because I gotta tell you, my pill box is overflowing with all the friggin' supplements and all these other things that I'm taking there's a thing I'm taking because I have testosterone now. You gotta take this other thing with it. But anyway, so it's I think about that though, like having to take a whole bunch of medications, like at different times and all of that. And so anyway, I have three dogs and I'm juggling all their medications. So that's my low.
Wow.
My high is
also, not to mention, it's very expensive.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I was gonna say. I've always only had one dog. Well, it's not like I've had a whole bunch of dogs, but having more than one is very expensive. Having more than two is nice. Do the math. Yeah, I would advise against it. just for financial reasons. When we were sitting in the exam room when they were doing they had to take a culture of both his ears and then spin it through this machine. Wave their magic wand over and then they tell you $250. Anyway, we were waiting for the results and I told Kevin, I'm like, yeah, I know, people, myself included, but a lot of people I know love to rescue animals, and you either have to be somewhat wealthy or I don't know what people do. Do they, people who don't have a lot of money, which is like us, we don't have a lot of
Well,
money.
a lot
What
of
do they do?
people, remember, a lot of people during the pandemic rescued all these like shelter dogs because they were at home and they were working and blah 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 blah, and then they had to take them back because they were like, oh, a year later they're like, we're headed back to work and or we can't afford it.
Yeah, it's
So
very
I mean,
sad.
remember, nobody was driving, so, and gas became like $1.25 a gallon over here, and so there was all these people. I remember going to fill up my car and being like, we had two cars that didn't even cost $20 to fill.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah,
so
that's
crazy. And so you think about like no one's driving anywhere. You would think that we would have a giant pile of money right now that we're sitting on.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that anybody who had a giant all that money's gone. Because you
yeah.
find something else to spend it on,
Oh, for
even if
sure.
you're super, super frugal.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, for sure. But
I spent
anyway,
it on shoes.
well, at least you're helping the shoe economy.
Yep, that's
Uh,
right.
anyway, so that was my low, but we'll get through it. And then my high is just got my eyebrows retouched a little while ago. I told you about that. But I love these like procedures they have now for permanent, well, it's somewhat permanent. I have to get it touched up yearly, but it sure beats trying to um, draw them in or shade them in. I've tried powders
You have
before.
to, before the procedure, do you have to drink a liquid in a gallon jug and then stay close to a bathroom?
No, this is not a colonoscopy. It's on the opposite side of my body.
Okay.
It's not the tail, it's the head.
Well,
No, you
I'm
don't have to do any prep. But I
I
love
want
it
to
because,
do it.
yeah, oh, when you come visit, we'll go, I can take you to my lady.
Can
But
I?
you,
Well, but don't you have to make an appointment months in advance?
well, that's the thing I was going to tell you. We should make an appointment now. I'm sure she could fit you in.
Because remember how in the 90s everyone plucked the hell out of their eyebrows?
Yeah,
Well, guess what? That shit don't grow back.
yeah.
So
Well,
that also makes me wonder, like, why doesn't hair in other places stop growing?
yeah, it grows where you don't want it to grow.
That's so
Um,
annoying.
but yeah, before I tried powders, I tried pencils, I tried that stamp thing, which let me tell you, if anybody has used that successfully, please write in to murder and everything else at gmail.com or Instagram or Facebook and send us a picture, please, because you know what I'm talking about, right? You put like the stencil thing over your eyebrow and then you dip the stamp in the powder or cream, whatever it was, and then you roll it like it's supposed,
Yeah,
and it
that
was
stuff is so
hilarious. It was hilarious. Anyway,
I
so
use a
this,
brow shaper with
but
a
is it
brush.
pow with a no? But see, I couldn't. It was just annoying. It would come out different every time. Plus, my eyebrows were uneven, and so she shaped them to where my eyebrows aren't naturally shaped like
Ooh.
this, and I
Can
love
you
it.
can you call her and make an appointment?
Yes, we'll talk about that offline.
Tell her that I tell her how I plucked the hell out of my eyebrows and that basically, I mean, it's a mess. It's a hot mess.
Okay, I'll tell her. Do you have a hot mess special?
Yeah.
Anyway, but so at that, I'm just really happy that this invention came along. Is I know it's been around for a while. It's basically tattooing, you know what I mean? But with a really small. I
Yeah.
do the microblade. They have, what is it? They have Oh, of course, I can't think of it now. Ombre. You do ombre, which looks more dense and it's just really stark. I do the microblading so it looks like natural hairs. It's really
Yeah,
incredible. Anyway, I have to
I
say,
don't like the dark one. It looks
yeah.
I've seen some people on like social media and I literally am like, what is happening to your eyebrows?
Well, anyway, it is the best thing since I hate the term sliced bread. We got to come up with something better. That is so old fashioned.
I know. I
So
think they invented sliced bread the year you were born.
probably before that. We got to come up with something else. Let's have a
Anywho.
contest to come up with something better than sliced bread.
Yeah,
Anyway,
let's because the contest we're having right now is so
it's so
successful.
successful. Okay. Anyway, on that note, what's your high and low?
So I'm gonna start with my low. And it also has to do with hairs and hair that's on your face. But I have this area like right in the front of my chin. And every like month or so, I'll be putting my hand there and I'll feel like a little pokey thing poking my finger. And so I'll
You're getting
pull on it.
whiskers.
I'll pull on it and usually it takes me a day or so. I'll grip it because the tweezers don't work. I'll grip it between my nails and I'll it takes usually 23,000 tries, but eventually I'll get it between my fingernails and I'll yank on it and it'll come out and it's literally like it's so pokey you could cut glass with it and
Have you tried waxing? That's what I do.
now instead of one hair there's two hairs, so I had to mess with it twice like for 2 weeks until I got both hairs out.
No, this is what you do for under $5. You go on Amazon and you can probably get it at Temu, and you get Sally Hansen's face wax, and I wax it once a month. I have
I have
no
it but
hairs.
it doesn't take those ones out because those ones are very aggressive. I swear to you
If there,
it's like I'm being attacked by pubic hair on my chin. It's so
I think
horrible.
if there was an underskin like camera, there would be like roots just hanging on
Yeah.
under your skin.
Oh, it's so awful. And then my high, because I really am so distraught by the two hairs replacing the one hair, is last Saturday night. Okay, guys. First of all, okay, I had bought
To
to and
paradise.
2 tickets to see Arrival, which is Sweden's premier ABBA cover band. So it's a band from Sweden. And for like the last 40 some years or 35 years, they've been traveling, dressing up, and performing. And it's a full band. It's not just two dudes and two chicks. They've been performing ABBA songs and they're amazing. Amazing. And I bought these tickets and had kind of forgotten about them, but I drug my husband to go to this concert. It was at like this great venue near here and um we had basically the seat row was A. So it was basically like front row seats.
Which is not always
And
good because it's like you're
yeah,
tilting your head all the way back.
yeah. But because of the way that the row A is set up, it actually kind of winds around and is like 5 rows. So we were in the 3rd row back, but on the side. So there was only like, I think 2 or 3 people in front of us, but it was so good. I was literally standing up. I mean, I was so sore the next day because I was like dancing and shaking it and like, and I knew the words to every song they performed,
Oh,
and they
which
must
everybody around you
oh,
really enjoyed.
they must have performed at least 50 songs because they did a bunch of medleys too. It was so good. And at the very end, they they said thank you so much and then they left and they had not performed Dancing Queen, and I was like, oh my God, they are going to have to come back out. And I started a chant. I was like, Dancing Queen, Dancing Queen. And all the people around me started shouting, Dancing Queen. And we were all screaming Dancing Queen. And sure enough, they came back out and they did Dancing Queen and brought the house down. I was dancing. I was like
You were
shaking.
the dancing queen.
People in the audience came in sequins and like
Oh,
rainbows
how
with
fun.
boas and light up like boas and like platforms, bell bottoms. It was so stinking awesome.
That's cute, but I feel bad
Yeah.
for Gabe because I'm also not an ABBA fan. One of your girls didn't want to go with you?
It was actually a really good date night. So
Oh,
we just went,
okay.
the two of us, and he
Says you.
only stood up once, but that's because I made it. Yeah, that's because I made him stand up, but he didn't really want to.
I'm
Um,
sure.
because he's tall. He's 6'5", so when he stands up in front of people, they
People
can't
back
really
behind
see.
him are pissed off.
So he ended up sitting down. But at one point, for
So he was
Waterloo,
shaking in his seat.
yeah, for
He's wiggling.
Waterloo and for
Ugh.
Dancing Queen, some others, everyone was standing up.
That's my
All right,
jicama.
what? ABBA?
ABBA.
You
Mm-hmm.
don't like ABBA?
I do not like it.
Oh my God, this podcast is over. OVER. We can't talk anymore.
Bye.
Oh my God. Anyway,
I
that was my high, and you can take it and stick it with the jicama. We have a couple of disclaimers to go over. Sorry, we already went over disclaimers. We have to do some shout outs, guys. So Cheryl's gonna sing our shout out song. Take it away, Cheryl.
Oh, I am. Well, my sister Noreen, she won, right? Did we announce that? We did.
Yeah.
And she won our trivia question. There's still others to be answered, everyone. So get running,
Yeah,
get those fingers warmed up, get them typing, please.
that's right. And also Noreen sent us photos that we posted on our Instagram. Also, she emailed us and referenced the movie that is in our Happy Birthday Cheryl episode, which is called USS Indianapolis Men of Courage, and it stars Nicolas Cage, Tom Sizemore, Thomas Jane. And so thank you, Noreen, for giving us an update on that movie. So anyway, I think
Yeah,
that's cool
so
that she's seen it, because I don't know anyone who's seen that movie.
I know that was very cool because the story, the little caption that you read was incredible, and then you were like, and there's a movie about it, but I don't know what it's called. And so
Yeah.
Noreen came sweeping into the rescue and has seen it. So yeah, and I'll talk more about it later. But um, what did what was it on my birthday? They were rescued on my birthday. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, remember that they were bobbing around in like the Philippine Sea or something, and then they were rescued. But there's also a very macabre part of this story that I'll say for another time. But anyway, I also have a shout out for Francoise, who texted me to let me know that Flanders, which was also, remember I said so and so left Flanders, and you said, what's
What's
Flanders?
Flanders?
You said, is Flanders a city? And I said, yes. Well, it turns out that Flanders is not a city, it's a part of Belgium. It's the northern part, which is the Dutch speaking part. The southern part is Wallonie, and it is the French speaking part of Belgium. So I had no idea. And then also, she told us, she texted me that there was a pronunciation that we did wrong. It was the parachute
Oh,
guy.
not
I'm not
we.
even,
We?
yeah,
We.
I'm
You.
not even going to try to pronounce the correct pronunciation, but she said it's like Gil, like the first part of Guillermo. So I'm going to
Instead
say
of
it's Gil.
Gilles.
So
Okay.
whatever, I said it wrong.
Francoise is our
Thank
French
you.
connection.
That's right. Thank you, Francoise. Cheryl and I have talked about doing an entire episode in French just for shits and giggles. So stand by, Francoise, for that to be coming down the pipeline. And then also, I want to give a giveaway update. Congratulations to Misty Shangler in Tulsa, Oklahoma for winning.
Is that Misty Strangler or Strangler?
Miss, sorry, congratulations to Misty the Strangler in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on winning.
You know what? We're getting mail for someone with the last name Lackey, and I'm like, that is just a very unfortunate
Lucky.
last name, Joy Lackey.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Anyway, and that's
Um,
for real. I'm not
one,
joking.
one
Okay.
time, one time, my husband got a letter addressed to Patrick McGabe,
Oh, oh my.
and also, true, true story. But our when we got married, people sent us gifts and cards, and all of the people on my side of the family, it was like they didn't read the invitation. Some of the cards came to Dear Joy and Patrick, Dear Joy and Pat.
Where
One
are they getting
said one
Patrick?
said Dear Joy and Dave, which I thought was hilarious because he doesn't have the name Dave anywhere in his name.
Well,
And
what is
then
Patrick? Is that his middle name?
yeah, but it was
Oh.
so funny because one said Dear Pat and Joy. And I was like, who the F is Pat? And then the one that said Dear Dave and Joy just like set us howling. I'm like, I don't even know who Dave is. But anyway, that was
That's your other
so
husband.
funny,
Oh my
right?
God. Well, you know, whenever I text the name Gabe, like I'm texting it to you, it always, well, it's probably the key right next to it, but it always shows up as have, Have, and then I got to correct it
Oh,
like three
that's
times.
funny. Mine always autocorrects to Gabe, Gave,
Yeah. Well, mine is
which is
Have.
so funny. All right, well, guys, this week we are going to head in another direction and we are going to be talking about what we are watching. Everybody has, favorite shows and new series and recommendations of what they're watching. I can tell you that Cheryl and I have had lengthy conversations about what we're watching. And for example, when Squid Game came out, I did not want to watch it because everyone was watching it. It kept popping up on my Netflix. And I just got so irritated. But Cheryl was the person who was like, you have to watch it. It's so good. And half the people in my family had already watched it. But I popped up one day and said, guys, Cheryl said that I would really love this. Do you guys want to watch it again? And of course, because it was so good, they were like, absolutely. So we sat down as a family and watched it again from start to finish. And I was completely blown away. So we're
Oh,
going to be talking.
I didn't know they watched it. They had already watched it.
Yeah. So
Oh.
we're going to be talking today about what we're
About
watching.
Squid Game. Oh, we should do a episode on Squid Game. You know,
I
Squid
know,
Game for
right?
me, Squid Game was like the Sixth Sense, which I talked about on my birthday episode. Which I did not know anything about it. I just clicked on it, and then I could like sell that show because I watched the first two episodes or something, and then anyway, we had gone out to eat, and we were sitting there at the restaurant, and I told Kevin, "Oh, I just started watching this show," and I gave him a little bit of what the first episode was, and the cliffhanger in the first episode, and he was like, "Oh, that sounds amazing," and so I watched it again. I watched it all by myself, and then I went and watched it with him. And there's a season two, right? Am I
Yeah,
imagining that?
no, they're putting together a
Okay, it
season,
hasn't come out yet. I'm like,
but
did I already watch
it
it?
hasn't dropped yet.
My God. I'm like, did I already see it? Didn't I already see it? All right. Anyway,
Well, why don't
but yeah.
you start with your first show that you're watching? Tell us like a little bit about it, where we can see it, and what it's about.
Okay. Well, first of all, if we're going to be um, grammatically correct or like specific, what I'm watching right this minute is Teresa's. It is about these young folk who it's Brazil. Joy, remember I was like,
Oh,
what stars at the B? But anyway, there's organ trafficking in it and whatnot. It's kind of gruesome, but I told Joy that I love movies where people go on a trip, whether it's a road trip, driving, hiking, on a boat, whatever, and then something goes awry. But that is what I'm watching right now. But it's a very old movie, but I think I've seen it like this is probably my seventh time watch. I don't know, 10 times I've seen this movie. But we won't be so literal. I want to talk about the TV series Warrior. It actually was a Cinemax. It was on Cinemax. And then let me just read this. This is from Wikipedia. So in April 2019, Cinemax renewed this series for a second season. On October 2nd, 2020. It was Cinemax's final series before ceasing production of original programming. In April 2021, the series was renewed for a third season, along with the announcement that the series would move to HBO Max, later rebranded Max. And then the third season just premiered on Max June 29 of this year. Warrior is an American martial arts crime drama television series. And like I said, it premiered on April 5th, 2019 on Cinemax. It is based on an original concept and treatment by Bruce Lee. So if there's
Wow.
any Bruce Lee fans out there, and I think this is what intrigued my sister to watch it. So she was the one that told me about it. And it's executive produced by his daughter, Shannon Lee.
Oh.
And the film director, Justin Lin, Jonathan Tropper, um, are known for the Cinemax. Wait a minute. It's executive produced by his daughter Shannon Lee and film director Justin Lin, and then Jonathan Tropper, known for the Cinemax original series Banshee, is the showrunner. So it's
Mm.
set during the Tong Wars in late 1870s San Francisco, and the series follows Assam, a martial arts prodigy who emigrates from China in search of his sister, only to be sold to one of the most powerful Tongs in Chinatown. And I will tell you this. So there's seasons. I binge watch all of them. And I told Kevin about it. He overheard me talking to you about it. I told him about it, and I love the characters, and it's a half Asian cast, and there's this incredible Irish guy, he plays one of the leads. And I have never seen such an incredible face. You have to look at it to see what I'm saying. But as soon as he came on screen, I was like, wow, what a face.
Huh.
Anyway, just so character like driven. I think he was on Game of Thrones and stuff. He looks very Viking like. But anyway,
Hmm.
so Kevin watched the first episode and he was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to continue. And I said, you know what? It's not great. I'm not like saying go out and run out and watch this, everybody, because I don't feel like it's great. I was thinking about it because I know we were going to talk about it today. So it's kind of like trying to assess what I think about it. It feels like a soap opera, um, you know, set in the in the 1870s San Francisco with martial arts, added to it, and but it's kind of soap opera-y to me. And I don't like soap operas, but I
Yeah.
enjoy. Okay, one of the things I do love is martial arts. I always wanted to be. I wanted to.
Whoa. Sounded like you just had, it just sounded like you had some kind of like stroke or you're killing a chicken over there.
I took Hapkido for a little while. I took Kung Fu for a little while, and I always wanted to master and get a black belt, which I never accomplished. But I love watching it, and I especially love women kicking ass. But anyway, the martial arts choreography is really fun to watch. It's a fun series. It's fun. But yeah, that's your thing, martial arts, and it's like westerny, and like I said, kind of to me it's like a soap opera. But yeah, if that
Nice.
intrigues you, then it's on Max right now. I don't Why did they change it from HBO Max to Max? But
I
anyway,
don't
it's
know
on Max.
because Cinemax would
Right.
maybe they joined forces or maybe they absorbed the other company. I was wondering about that because Cinemax has Max in it, and then it
No.
was HBO Max,
Yeah,
and then they
no,
changed it.
it's
I
just
don't. I'm
not.
like, why? Why do you have to do that and like jack up my day when I'm out there looking for HBO? I pass Max and I don't even think about it because to
Right.
me Max is Cinemax.
It probably was an acquisition or something. I don't know. We could look it up, but
So crazy.
you, it's not that important. Anyway, but it is fun. It's fun if you like. Oh my God! And some of the dresses that the women wear are just gorgeous. But yeah, I like the fight scenes.
The attention to detail.
Yeah, it's.
That's why I love a period
Oh,
piece.
oh! I'm so glad you said that because Kevin gave me shit a little bit yesterday when we were talking about it, and it's almost like I convinced him to. I didn't mean to. I just said I love. There's certain characters that are I just love, and I was kind of going on about the things I liked about it, and he goes, "Oh, maybe I'll give it. I'll give it another chance." And he goes, "But this is a kind of a period piece." He goes, "What's going on with you?" And I said,
Yeah.
"I know I don't usually like period pieces, but it has martial arts. Martial art. If it didn't have martial arts, I would not be watching this." It would be Pride and
Okay.
Prejudice with with the half Asian cast.
Oh, whatever.
Anyway, what are you watching?
Well, I'm going to head in a completely different direction.
No, that's shocking.
And I'm going to tell you that, and I don't know why I'm such a late comer to the show, but the one I'm going to reference is also on HBO Max, and it's called 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. So basically, what happens is this: when you come to the United States or go to another country on a fiance visa, you have 90 days to get married to that person, to stay in the country legally, to process the marriage paperwork. And so this is called 90 Day Fiance the Other Way because it's about Americans leaving the United States and moving to the country where their fiance lives and having to go through the process of adjusting to not living in the United States. And let me just tell you, if there is any question anywhere about whether or not Americans are good at leaving the United States and going to live in other countries, I'll tell you that this show has basically shown that Americans are quite possibly the worst at living in other countries. Of course, the countries that I am referencing are Ethiopia, else uh not Venezuela, but what's the one where the Galapagos Islands are?
You're asking
Ecuador.
me,
Ecuador.
Harry
Ecuador,
Styles.
Ethiopia. Um what are the other countries on the list? Um I don't know, but they're not, generally speaking, they're developing countries.
Mhm.
So you're dealing with like electricity being out at regular intervals. Oh, India. One of them was India. How could I forget
That
India?
wasn't that one of
The
the big ones.
electricity being out. Oh, yeah. And the couple in India is a 60-year-old woman who goes to India. Okay, first of all, when she first meets this guy, she's not 60. I think she's 50. But she meets him basically because she gets catfished by him. She is calling a company for something and meets this man. They start exchanging emails and photographs based off of the sound of his voice and the amount of interest he took in her. And he sends her photographs of some dude's picture that he lifted off of the internet, who obviously is a model. And
Oh
then
gosh.
after about, I don't know, anywhere from 6 months to a year communicating with her, he lets her know that this is not his picture and sends her an honest picture of who he is. But because she's connected with him emotionally, she doesn't care. She keeps writing to him. And then she ends up selling all her stuff, letting her apartment go, getting rid of her car, telling her adult children she's moving to India. And when she moves to India, he then tells her that he's not single, he's married. So now remember, relationships are based off of what? Like honesty, truth, um, emotional connections, physical attraction. I mean, there's all these things that relationships are built on. But now he's basically lied to her on two pretty huge things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she still is head over heels in love with him. And she goes to India, and now he has to go through, because he's had an arranged marriage with a woman that he's not in love with, but who is closer to his age. He has to go through a lengthy and costly divorce. So in the course of this show, 10 years has gone by. Now she's 61 years old, and he's, I don't know, somewhere in his early to mid 30s. She's 30 years older than him. But he still very much holds to the fact that he loves her, she loves him. They've jumped through all these hurdles together to get married and be together. Like his parents not accepting her. I got to tell you, it was riveting. And I could not tear myself away, because they're not the only people in this show. The vast
Right, that you can have.
majority. The other thing is, so I find the commonality is women 50 and over falling for men in their 20s and 30s. So that's the first thing. The second thing is women who get pregnant on vacation by hot dudes from other countries. And now they have to sort out the fact that they're having a child with someone from Jamaica, from uh, from the Dominican Republic, from India, from Ethiopia. It's like, of course they don't know what it's like to live there, because they met this person at a resort where everything was really like 5-star. And now they're living in a part of the town where there's like raw sewage running through the streets. I mean, seriously.
Right.
Of
So what is it that these 20-something-year-olds are going for 50-something-year-olds? Is it money?
I don't know. I really don't know, because I don't know. Because I can't, honestly, I'm just like my mind is blown. So anyhow, if you really want to jump both feet into a complete train wreck, this this is the show
So
for
for
you.
you.
And also, like, I've never seen so many Americans that are incapable of learning a foreign language. One guy had been in Ecuador for like, I don't know, 4 years.
And he didn't speak
He
any.
literally could speak like the most basic and like horrific Spanish I've ever heard. Like, what are you doing in 4 years that you have not learned Spanish?
Right? I know if I moved
Uh,
to a foreign country, I'd definitely try to learn the language.
right?
Yeah,
Ugh,
well, because just for myself, right? I mean, like, how am I going to communicate?
girl, it's amazing. Anyway, what else are you watching?
Okay, so I watched, and I'm not recommending this because it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I almost 3/4 of the way through I want to say even half. I almost texted you and said, "You've got to watch this movie." And then by the end, I was like, "No, I don't think she wants to watch this." It ended pretty dramatically. But the film is called Girl. Have you seen it? It's on Netflix.
No.
It's called Girl, and it's a 2018 drama directed by, oh, Francoise, our French connection. You need to plug your ears up for this next section because this is a Dutch/French film. And I will be murdering these names. But you know what I did? You know what I did in honor of Francoise, just so her ears wouldn't bleed
What?
so bad? I did go online and do the how do you pronounce this, right? So I'm
Right?
gonna do my best, but I will tell you, I gave up halfway through it because there are so many names, and so I'm just gonna butcher some of them. But it's a 2018 drama film directed by Lucas Dont in his feature debut, and it was written by Dont and Angelo Tashins and stars Victor Polster in his acting debut as a trans girl who pursues a career as a ballerina. This
Ooh.
Victor Polster guy, let me tell you, he was fantastic. And
Huh.
sometimes I will watch a film like Knitram. That's the other one I watch, guys, where the acting is the lead actor is so incredible that it just kept me hooked, you know. Um, and this Victor Polster, he was incredible,
Huh.
incredible. Yeah, and he is a dancer as well. So when you watch him, I'm like, that's not even like you can't even learn that. You know how a lot of actors and actresses, I know they go to great lengths to learn whatever it is that the movie's about, right? But
Right.
this kind of dancing, when you watch him, I'm like, no, that's. So I look him up. I stopped the movie and I went to look him up, and it did say he was a dancer turned actor because but he has to dance on point, which is men don't do that. So you can tell by his
Wow.
feet that, you know. Anyway, he is so good. The movie is very quiet. Like there's a lot of long shots of his expressions and they are so expressive. I mean, he does so much acting. Like who are you talking about having like a million expressions in the one expression? I forgot you were
Oh,
talking about.
Matt Mikkelsen
Oh
from
yeah,
Skyfall.
from many movies.
Yeah.
Mads. But this kid, oh, eh, yeah, just his acting made me keep watching it. And then there's a whole bunch of ballet scenes when he's in class and stuff. So the film screened in the Un certain regard section at the 2018.
What?
Stop
Wait,
it.
what language was that?
Uh, uh, Un certain regard section at the 2018. Francois.
You sound like you're having a stroke.
It premiere it feel City of him screamed in the something section at the 2018 Cannes Film Festival, where it won the Camera d'Or
That's
award.
the gold.
It,
That's the gold camera.
is that like a Oscar for for Cannes? Anyway, it won that award for
Can
the
can.
for the best first feature film, as well as the Queer Palm, and Polster won the uh, in certain regard jury award for best performance, and he deserved it. It was selected as the Belgian entry for the best foreign language film at the 91st Academy Awards.
Ooh.
Although it did not make the December shortlist, it received 9 nominations at the ninth Magritte Awards and won 4, including Best Screenplay and Best Actor for Polster. Girl was inspired by Nora Monsecoeur, uh, did my best, Francoise, a trans female dancer from Belgium whom Dant met when he was 18 and she was 15. While initially praised by critics, the film was criticized by some trans and queer writers for its depiction of gender dysphoria and self-harm. Ooh, is there
Mm.
self-harm in this? And
Oh no.
I'm not talking about suicide. Concern was also raised about the lead actor and director both being cisgender. Monsecoeur, who collaborated with Dant and Tashins on the film, has defended the film in response. Okay, I have an issue. You know what? At this point, Joy, I welcome hate mail because we're not getting any. I'll take the hate mail too. But I sometimes have a problem with people going, well, why didn't they hire this actor and why didn't they hire that actor? You know what I mean? Like
That's been a thing. Like, remember with Joylet Club, there was a lot of Chinese actors, and there
playing
was also
Japanese and Japanese playing
yeah,
Chinese.
yeah, and
I get,
and remember MASH, they had Filipino
I,
and like Native
okay.
Americans pretending they were Koreans.
So I get the uproar. I don't know who it was that played, like it was in a really old, way back when he was Caucasian, and they taped his eyes back, and to make him look Asian. That's offensive.
Oh, it was it was Mickey Rooney played the Japanese downstairs neighbor in Breakfast at Tiffany's, opposite George Papard,
Yeah.
and Audrey Hepburn, and he would come out and go, "Oh, Mr.
Or
Gorary,
yeah.
you have to stop making so much noise." And he looked ridiculous in his kimono, and he would be having like a tea, and then when music would start, and he'd spill the tea everywhere, and he'd come running out and go, "Oh, Mr. Gorary," and it was
Yeah.
like, "Are you kidding
That's
me?"
right. And you love that movie, so
I
yeah.
love, love,
Okay.
love it.
That's offensive, right? I mean, that's clearly offensive. But with some of
Yeah.
the other criticisms, I don't agree. It's called acting, first of all. And,
Mhm.
of, now everybody's line is going to be where they draw the line is different. But I do draw the line at Mickey Rooney playing an Asian person. Okay. But this Victor Polster dude, amazing. He
Huh.
was amazing. So
Well,
I
there you
shun
have it.
all the critics, and I don't know if I can recommend this because it's not everyone's
You
cup of tea, but you might want to check it out. Oh,
I
go
might have to. But
but
is
I
it
just
like
want
Black Swan? Because I never saw that.
no. Well, in the pace, it's no, I did see Black Swan.
You did?
I did. Yeah,
Oh. Was it good?
I liked it. Yeah.
But it's
Um,
because you like dancing.
Yeah, but it's dark, it's pretty well, I like dark. I like dark and I like dancing. So yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that I loved about
How
this
about dancing in the dark?
in the dark. No, I don't like the boss. He has that song dancing. Anyway, the thing I loved about this, and I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Just
Okay.
fast forward if you're gonna watch this. Oh, except for
Do
you.
it. Do it, girl. Do it.
Um, Besides his performance, what I loved about this movie is it is not predictable. Um, because he hasn't had the surgery yet, so he tapes himself up, and he's wearing leotards and tights. I mean, it's tight. That's why they're called tights. And he goes and he instead of changing
You
and
can't see his junk.
well, this is the thing. I don't want to give too much away, but when they're showing him, I'm like, you can still see it. This is what I'm thinking.
Oh.
So he goes and he changes in the dressing room instead of, I'm sorry, in the bathroom instead of the dressing room with all the girls. And I'm like, oh my God. And they have, I don't know how many times they show him in this bathroom, at least 4 or 5 times changing, taking the tape off, this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, one of these times he's not going to lock the door and somebody's going to walk in on him. And I have to tell you, this is spoiler alert, so forward ahead if you don't want to hear this. They never did that scene because that was so typical, right? Somebody walks in on him and goes,
Right.
oh my God, you're a boy. They didn't do it. And it was so refreshing that all the things, the typical things
Oh.
you would think would happen in this, it does not happen.
But
Also,
meanwhile, you're racked with anxiety that somebody's going to walk in on him.
yeah, no, but I loved from a film creative standpoint, they didn't go down that road. They didn't have the trouble with the parents. Well, I don't know where his mom is. Maybe I have to watch it again to figure out. But anyway, his dad, there wasn't any. They didn't focus on any of that. Like there's probably the parent doesn't understand. That's a whole nother movie, people. If that's what you're looking for,
Right.
where the father, the father's trying to understand why he wants. We're at the point where everybody, including the rest of the extended family has accepted this, and so it's just this point in his journey.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I watched, and I was gonna text you and go, you gotta watch this movie, girl, but I didn't know if you would like it. But maybe you should start watching it. The guy alone, his performance is incredible. So that's on
Huh.
Netflix.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. I am going to probably get some flack for this one, but I was a huge Sex and the City fan.
Yeah.
Huge. And I feel like okay, One, I didn't get married until I was 34, and that's not that old, but I married I was single for the majority of the filming of the original Sex and the City and the release dates. And so I identified so much with and and at certain points in my life I lived in a city. So I identified so much with dating and dating culture and the experiences that they put in the show,
Hmm.
and
The
um
shoes.
the shoes, the purses, the travel. I traveled a lot when I was single. And I spent I so identified with the character of Carrie, who spent all her money on everything besides sensible things. I spent all my money on just frivolous shit instead of, buying a house like maybe some smarter people would have done, or buying a piece of property or investing their money. I just, frittered it away. And I loved the show so much. And so they have come back with a reboot, and it's called And Just Like That. It's on HBO Max. It's
Oh.
basically Sex in the City for 50-year-olds, even though the majority of the women in that show are probably in their 60s. Um
So is it the same
it
cast?
it's the same cast
Except
except
for
for Samantha, who's played by, I don't know what her name is, or
Cat,
she's the
Cat,
blonde one.
Cat.
And
But she had
but
problems with Sarah Jessica Parker, right?
yeah, I don't know. I will say that it's Kim Cattrall.
Hmm.
She had a pretty solid acting career before Sex and the City. I don't know that she has after Sex and the City. And when I say solid, I mean she's been in enough things since Sex and the City, but she is defined by that character of Samantha. She was outrageous. She was the oldest cast member. She did not I mean, it was like no holds barred. She would do things and say things, and I have to say, looking back, it was so refreshing to see a woman in her 40s unabashedly claiming her sexuality in a way that you didn't see other women in their
Yeah.
40s back in the 2000s and in the late 90s. You just didn't. Women
Hmm.
had a lane, and that lane ended when they hit childbearing age and 35. You all of a sudden played mom roles or grandma roles. You did not play women who claimed their sexuality and were out there the way she was. So
Right.
maybe I don't know if she resented that. I don't know if she didn't like being typecast after that, but I will say that as a viewer, I was so appreciative that she paved the way for many women who now are playing sexual roles, i.e., Jane Fonda and her cohorts who are in movies with her, and Lily Tomlin and other women who have and Diane Keaton, who have said, "Hey, I don't care what the cutoff is for playing a woman who is reclaiming her sexuality at an age past 35." So I feel like she has really broke ground for that. But anyway, I digress. This this reboot
Uh-huh.
has it has other characters. So one of the big complaints about Sex in the City was that it was so white and whitewashed that there were no um people of color. Miranda dated a, a black doctor in season 5 and part of season 6, but aside from that there were so few Asian characters. There were peripheral characters at best. There were no Latino characters in the first or second movie they made, which, by the way, the movies were huge hits with Sex and the City fans, but not with anyone else.
I like
You
the
know,
first one. How many
yeah,
movies did they do?
Jennifer, the singer, is it Jennifer? What's the name of the American Idol singer? Anyway, she played a role in
Hudson.
one of them.
Oh yeah, Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson. There were 2 movie reboots and then this show, but there's Che Diaz, who's a non-binary character of Latin descent. Dr. Nia Wallace, a friend of Miranda's. She's Black. Lisa Todd Wexley and Herbert Wexley, a Black couple that have their own kind of like storyline. Seema Patel, who is an Indian real estate agent and the best friend of Carrie's. And Samantha is sending text messages. So they've written her into the show as someone who regularly texts Carrie, but is living in Europe. So it works. And whether or not Samantha ever shows her face on the show, they've actually rebooted this show successfully without Samantha. They just a spoiler alert, they killed off Carrie's husband, Mr. Big, at the beginning of the series. We're on the end of second season now. They brought back Aiden. I don't know where that's going because I haven't seen the last episode yet. But it works for me, and I know it works for all Sex and the City fans that saw the show and loved the show. Um, they brought back Aiden, they brought back Steve, they brought back Harry, and it just works because we've all, those of us who grew up with the show, have all gotten older. And we've all seen what happens when you get older and you don't have kids, when you get older and you're married, when you're older and divorced, when you're older and a spouse has passed away. So we're all there and we're all identifying with these characters. And I love, 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 love it. And I'm going to watch it multiple times, just like I have all of the other Sex and the Cities. I know the Sex and the City episodes so well, and so does Gabe because I've watched them so many times. All I have to do is say a line from his episode, and he knows if it's the Funky Spunk episode. He knows if it's
poor
yeah, I mean he knows it, but he loves them too. He'll never admit it, but he does. So anyway, if you love Sex and the City, go out and watch And Just Like That on HBO Max. It is a standalone show, but it's also a show that, if you know those characters and love them, you will know and love this show.
So I'm texting Gabe right now and I'm saying, so I hear you love Sex in the City and ABBA. I never would have thought.
Yeah, that's right. So we have time for maybe one more quick shout out. What's a third show that you're watching?
Oh man. Okay. I had two. But so I did watch USS Indianapolis Men of Courage. And it's a 2 hour and 10 minute film, which when I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this. But I watched it in like 4 sittings or whatever. I had to keep getting up and doing stuff. But as a film, it's not great. And also, oftentimes if you know what happened and you're just watching it as, I don't want to say for entertainment because people died. It's horrible. But it was directed by you remember Mario Van Peebles?
Yeah.
Mario Van Peebles. He put his son in it. Looks a dead ringer for him. That beautiful smile, gorgeous. But I don't know how he is as a director. I mean, he directed this, and it was not fantastic. And Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage with that voice of his that drives me nuts in a bad way. But the story is incredible, and you had talked about it, right? That that the USS Indianapolis that they were on was sunk by Japanese torpedoes. What's incredible about, okay, if you want to watch this, or well, listen, it's not even, it's history. So if you don't know it already, too bad. No, you can just forward ahead if you don't know this, but so 317 people out of 1,000 or something only survived. 317, and then the captain, who was played by Nicolas Cage, he was brought up on charges, which was incredible. And this is when I say it doesn't always pay to be in charge, because what the was he supposed to do? So there's this thing called zigzagging you're supposed to do with the ship, which is incredible to me because it's a huge ship. I don't know how fast you can zigzag. But in the movie anyway, there was fog, and so he says, no, let's wait till the fog dissipates. But anyway, after they're rescued and they go back home, he is just bombarded incessantly in the middle of the night with phone calls from family members and other people, like saying, you should have died, or why didn't you save my boy, and this and that, so he's just being harassed. Then he's arrested. and he goes to trial, and they have now I don't I'm talking about the movie, everyone. Okay, so don't come for me for as far as historical accuracy, but in the movie, um, they have the captain, the Japanese captain, come and testify on his behalf
Whoa.
because he says so. The defense attorney says, could is there anything that Captain McVeigh, who's Nicolas Cage, could have done to avoid this catastrophe? And the Japanese captain goes, no, I sent two torpedoes at the same time. Even if he was zigzagging, it wouldn't have helped. And they still found him guilty.
Wow.
And so there's a really very powerful scene at the end with Nicolas Cage and the Japanese captain, and it really, makes you think about us as human beings in war and all this shit. And I don't know if that, like I said, I'm talking about the movie. I don't know if that was historically accurate. I would like to think that happened because it was a really powerful moment between two human beings,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of their race. But anyway, so that was really sad, and I am going to spoil alert that Captain McVeigh did take his life at some point
Oh,
because it was too much to bear.
yeah.
So
Well, I did Google this because I heard that it was the largest shark attack in history, and it says that um
you heard that from me. You are so
y-
funny.
yeah, yeah, but listen, the sharks initially ate the dead, but they didn't for long. They turned their teeth towards the surviving sailors. Out of 900 who went into the water, only 316 survived, and of those who died in the sinking of the Indianapolis, 150 of them were eaten alive by the swarming sharks. Isn't that awful?
At the end of the movie, they have two survivors. They
Oh,
interviewed
only
two.
only two? Oh no,
Well,
sorry.
yeah, they only interviewed two, but they're actual, this is real life, not actors. And
Oh
one guy
god.
was saying that when they were in the water, there was like 150 sharks just swimming around them. Can you even
Oh, I
hear?
can't even handle it. I can't
So,
even handle it. That's so crazy.
but
I
anyway.
might have to watch it with Gabe because he's like he's like terrified of sharks.
Oh, okay. So poor Gabe, he's dragged to ABBA. He's forced to listen to
Yeah.
Sex in the City, and now he has to watch a movie about shark infested waters.
I know, and he also has to listen to this podcast. All right,
He loves it.
girl.
He loves it. Okay, what's your last one?
Roaring on. Okay. I'm actually headed back to reality TV, which surprises me
Shocking.
because I haven't enjoyed reality TV for a really long time. But you
Survivor.
know that I was the original Survivor
Yep.
super fan,
Or
and I actually got you into watching
I remember
Survivor.
being at work and you were like, "Have you watched this series called Survivor?" I was like, "No." I went home and checked it out that day, and I was hooked. I watched
Yep.
probably 13 seasons. I kind of quit
Yep.
after that, but
I watched more than 13 seasons, but the reason I stopped was because the guy, the Mark, I think his name is Mark Burnett, the
yes,
Survivor creator guy, and he also did Celebrity Apprentice, and I could not support the fact that he had probably a lot of footage of Donald Trump being highly inappropriate and unprofessional, and he wouldn't release it when he was running for president. And you know what? A girl's got to believe in what a girl's got to believe in. So there.
yeah.
Anyway,
Did you see his
so
mugshot, by the way?
oh god.
My
I tried
sister's,
not to. He looked, you know what he looked like? He looked like a 2-year-old. A
yeah,
2-year-old
having a
who
tantrum.
really, 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 really doesn't want to be in the picture.
Yeah,
So anyway, the show that I'm referencing again, HBO Max. I gotta tell you, HBO is doing
Max,
something right.
Max.
It's called Survive the Raft.
Oh
And it's
yeah, yeah.
based on the 1973 Akali experiment by Santiago Genovese. And the host is this guy named Nate Boyer, who was a Green Beret and also a football player and an actor. But anyway, This guy, Santiago Genoves, in 1973, he was an anthropologist, and he was struck by the connection between violence and sexuality in monkeys. And he said that most conflicts are about sexual access to ovulating females. So he wanted to apply this to humans. So he built a 12 by 7 meter raft called the Akali, and he planned to sail with 10 sexually attractive young people across the Atlantic from the Canary Islands, which are owned by Spain, but off of the Ivory Coast of Africa, to Mexico. And it was a prototype for the glut of reality TV shows. It was like a floating Love Island or a Big Brother at sea. But
Mm-hmm.
with a twist, they were so isolated from the rest of the world that they couldn't have said, like, get me out of here. The only way would be to drown or get eaten by sharks. And this guy was anyway, his whole plan didn't end up working. It was basically it got known as like a sex raft, and it was crazy. I didn't even realize this, but they keep referencing it in this show, but they don't reference the sex raft part.
Mm-hmm.
But this host is kind of like, they picked him because he's obviously good looking and he's muscular. But this last show, half of the team had to, people on the raft had to strip naked and like collect fruits and then like take a zip line naked. I'm sorry, but there is nothing that is going to get me on a zip line buck naked on a TV show. I just like blown away. But at the end of the thing, the host, this Nate Boyer guy, goes, and just like you, I went commando for today's episode, and he's wearing shorts. He I guess he felt like he had to tell everybody that he was not wearing underwear or chonies during the filming.
Oh God.
And of course I'm like, nobody cares about what you have on
Or
under
not,
your
or don't
shorts.
have on.
Yeah, it was just so ridiculous and dumb. But the show
Attention
itself is
seeking.
great. What they do is this: there's a pot of money that they win for every challenge. So like if you if 10 people zip line, you get you get $2,000 per person. So the money stacks up. There is a special thing that, like, if you find an apple and take it, you get $50,000 and nobody knows who took it. So there's a twist to every challenge, and every single episode they bring someone new onto the raft, and that person has to try to convince everybody that they could stay. So it's basically like, are you loyal to the original group that started this, or are you going to take a new person who maybe is a better fisherman, a better swimmer, a better physical condition person, a better cook, a better all around person? And I will say that the first person that left the show was a middle aged Muslim woman. So that was kind of telling. Obviously, she's not comfortable stripping down.
She's not going to be
She's
ziplining naked.
she's not going to zip line naked. She was, she stops to pray times a day. And so it was very interesting. She wears a head covering. The second person that was sent home was a young um African American guy, and this third person that went home was a young African American girl. So it's really interesting to see who's leaving and the reasons they're leaving. There is a girl who's white on the show who's vegan, and every time they show up with like chickens, or someone's eating like a piece of fish, or they're chopping the fish head off, she literally is having a nervous breakdown around the corner. And I'm waiting for them to vote her off, because she's because she's so like freaking out about like eating fish. But I'm like, girl, these people need to keep up their energy, because they're like sailing out of like trees and swimming in the ocean, and like rafting over, like rowing, row your boat. And
But it's
you
not like she doesn't want them to eat it, right? She just doesn't want
no
to eat it.
no she doesn't want to kill any animal. She's all
Oh,
freaking out,
okay.
and I'm like, okay,
Wait, how
here's
long
the
has she
deal.
been on this island
if
raft
you're
doing?
if you're a vegan, then you don't eat the animals. But
Right.
everyone else gets to eat an animal. It's like, if, for example, I don't eat pork or beef, but if you want to eat pork or beef, go to it. I'm like, so I'm amazed that they've gotten rid of these 3 other people,
but
but
not her.
they've
You know
kept this
why?
like emotionally weepy, like vegan.
No. You know why? Because it's more
Why?
food for them.
That's right. They're like,
like,
ooh, look,
looking for
more
she's
chicken
not
for
gonna
me.
get food. Yeah.
They're all, hey, you want some
What
chicken?
is she
All
eating?
right, you're
Berries?
vegan. I'm
What is,
eating your chicken.
what is she eating? Berries and
I
leaves?
I don't know what she's eating, but I feel like at a certain point she's gonna fall over and they're gonna have to kick her off the raft.
Well, then they're forced to.
So
Okay,
I'm
wait,
totally invested.
I was gonna watch it after you recommended it a few weeks ago, but I am so spoiled now. I can't wait for 1 week, so I have to wait till it's all out. But I'm confused because I didn't look at it, and you're explaining it now. But so they're not on a raft the entire time, which is what I'd like to see. They're
Right.
not on, right?
They're not, and they put creature comforts on this raft.
See,
Like they
that's
have
bullshit.
a toilet, they have a
No,
shower.
I want to see them
It's
out
large.
cleaning to the raft in shark-infested waters with no food.
Yeah. You want them to be on the USS Indianapolis.
But no, so I don't understand. Where did they take the raft? Or the raft is just a gimmick part of it.
So
You know what
the
I mean?
raft is somewhere in the Tocantins, I think, which are the islands off of Panama or something like that. Or
No,
maybe
but they
it's in the
only
South
take
Pacific.
one raft
I
trip.
don't know.
They only take one raft trip.
No, the raft is like tethered to the bottom of the ocean. So the
Okay,
raft
I
the
gotta
raft
watch.
raft doesn't move, but they'll take like little dinghies to like different part, like, and when but the raft, and they're fishing off the raft. There's plenty of sharks around and stuff. They're
Oh,
not
okay, but it
shooing away
really
the
is just a
sharks.
gimmick. It's really just a gimmick. They're not surviving on a raft. I claim bullshit and
No,
I want
no.
to sue.
Oh, Cheryl, you will love it. And by the way, I think there's 4
It sounds
episodes
like
now,
Survivor.
and they're all like an hour long. Ooh, and there's a transgender guy who's on the raft. And there's also, well, like I said, originally there was a Muslim lady. I already gave away like who the first 3 people were.
I know.
It got
Yeah,
kicked
I
off.
had to watch it.
But I have to say, some of the people that they brought, like, it hasn't surprised me that the first girl that they brought that they kept was this like tall blonde bombshell. She's a swimmer,
Yes,
she's
for
a deep sea
TV.
diver, she's a,
She's
and I'm
good
like,
for TV.
oh yeah, she looks great. So it's like, it's interesting. I am waiting. Oh, but they also have like this red bearded, heavy set North Carolina fellow, and I'm rooting for him. I'm like, go, go, go. I'm like, come on. I'm waiting for them to bring a lady who's had quintuplets, who's got a faux pas down to her knees, who's got chin hairs popping out. I want her on the show.
Okay, so basically, the raft is just part of the title. I mean,
Survive the Raft is the title. Hey, there's a raft, okay? And they have to sleep on the raft. So there's that.
Okay, now I do want to watch it because it sounds ridiculous.
That's right. Anyway, if you guys want to see those 2 hairs on my chin, I'm gonna take a picture and post it to our Instagram.
Oh, yay.
So
with your smelly purse. I know that people, even though they're not writing in, I telepathically know that people are saying, we want to see the smelly purse.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, even though we didn't talk about my smelly purse or murder today, do you know what is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
Oh boy, that is a crime. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and
don't complicate your day.
All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch created and managed by Kevin Callan. Podcast editing and advertising by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezek. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, and you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.